My son left me stranded 300 miles from home on their honeymoon. What that forgotten? Phone call taught me will break you open voice of Auntie Mae. I was 78 years old, standing barefoot on cracked asphalt outside of Texaco in the middle of nowhere, watching the taillight of my only child's rental car disappear down a dark highway. 300 miles from my little house, no purse, no phone, no nothing. Just the night air and the smell of diesel. They were rushing to their honeymoon cruise, laughing about how they'd make it up to me later. And in their hurry, they forgot I was still in the restroom. I heard the car pull away. I ran out waving my arms like a fool, but the road swallowed them whole. And there I was, abandoned, or so I thought. Young people, listen close. Auntie Mae's about to tell you what really happened that night, and how the worst moment of my life became the greatest gift I ever gave myself, and maybe the one I'm giving you right now. That first hour I just sat on the curb and cried like a baby. Not pretty tears, ugly, snot-nosed, chest-heaving sobs that scared even the crickets quiet. I felt small, used up, invisible. I kept replaying every sacrifice I'd made for that boy, every double shift at the factory, every Christmas I skipped so he could have the name, brand sneakers, every night I slept on the floor so he could have the bed when money was tight. And this is how it ends. Left like an old suitcase somebody decided wasn't worth the baggage fee. I was angry, yes, but underneath the anger was something worse. The terrifying thought that maybe they were right to leave me. Maybe I had become the kind of person people forget. That thought hurt worse than the gravel cutting into my feet. But then something shifted. The moon came out from behind a cloud and lit up that empty parking lot like a spotlight, and I swear I heard a voice, not God, not an angel, just the voice of the woman I used to be before life bent me over and told me to stay down. That voice said, "Me, if nobody's coming back for you, then you better start walking toward yourself." And that's when I understood the first great truth of growing old gracefully. Sometimes the people who hurt you the deepest are the ones heaven uses to push you into your becoming. I wiped my face, stood up straight, and started looking around that gas station, not for pity, but for power. The neon sign was flickering, but it was still shining. The pumps were still pumping. The world hadn't stopped just because I got left behind. And neither would I. I walked inside, looked that teenage clerk dead in the eye, and said, "Baby, I need to make a collect call, and I need a cup of the strongest coffee you got." Because I decided right then, no matter how old you are, no matter who forgets you, you do not get to forget yourself. You hear me, your worth is not a vote. It's not a family decision. It's a declaration you make every single morning when you open your eyes. They can leave you at 1,000 gas stations, but they cannot take the road that's waiting inside your own chest. That night, I claimed mine back. The clerk's name was Destiny, of all things, and she let me sit in the back office while the call went through. I didn't call my son. I didn't call the police. I called Miss Lorraine, the widow lady from my church who'd lost her license years ago, but still had a mouth louder than a megaphone and a heart wider than Texas. Within 30 minutes, half the county knew Auntie Mae had been honeymoon, ditched, and do you know what happened? People showed up, truck drivers, night shift nurses, a whole bus of heists, cool cheerleaders on their way back from competition. Strangers became family in the time it takes to brew a pot of coffee. They brought blankets, what a burger, even a pair of house shoes somebody had in their trunk. And as I sat there wrapped in a quilt that smelled like somebody else's grandma, laughing through my tears, I learned the second truth. Blood don't make family, showing up does. My own flesh and blood drove off without me, but these beautiful souls pulled over for me, and isn't that the story of life? The people we think we can't live without sometimes walk away, and the people we've never met carry us across the wilderness. I looked around that fluorescent, lit room at all those faces glowing with kindness, and I realized something that shattered every bitter bone in my body. I had spent decades trying to earn love from people who were never going to give it freely. when all along love was waiting to ambush me on the side of the road if I'd just let myself be needy enough to receive it. Needy is not weak, baby. Needy is the doorway grace walks through. I stopped trying to be the strong old lady who doesn't bother nobody, and I let myself be the stranded old lady who needed everything. And in that surrender, I got more love in one night than I'd collected in 78 years of perfect politeness. Never be ashamed to take up space when you're hurting. The world is full of people dying to be useful with their kindness. They just need you to give them permission by falling apart out loud. By 3 a.m., we had a convoy, 3 pickup trucks and a church van, all headed my direction because ain't nobody leaving Miss Me out here with the coyotes. I rode shotgun with a man named Hector, who spoke maybe 10 words of English, but sang old Mexican love songs the whole way home like he was trying to heal something inside both of us. And somewhere around mile marker 127, watching the sunrise bleed pink across the cotton fields, I understood the third truth. Forgiveness is not something you give to people who deserve it. It's medicine you swallow so the bitterness doesn't finish killing you. I could have spent the rest of my days cursing my son and his pretty new wife, turning into one of those mean old women who scare children at family reunions. But holding that grudge would have kept me chained to that gas station forever. So right there in Hector's truck, with tears rolling down my cheeks for a whole new reason, I forgave them. Not because what they did was okay. It wasn't. But because my heart is my house, and I decided I wasn't letting their carelessness trash the place. Forgiveness isn't saying it's fine. It's saying it's finished. I released them, and in releasing them, I set myself free. I got home at 9:17 a.m., walked through my own front door carrying nothing but a styrofoam cup of cold coffee and a soul 10 times lighter. The grudge would have weighed more than any suitcase. I chose to travel light. When my son finally called 3 days later, crying, apologizing, offering every excuse under the sun, I didn't yell. I just said, "Baby, I already made it home. The question is, when are you gonna get home to yourself?" Because that's the fourth truth, and it's a hard one. People can only love you as deep as they've learned to love themselves. My boy was running so fast from the little boy inside him who never felt good enough that he didn't even see his mama standing there. His panic wasn't about me, it was about the scared kid he still hadn't hugged. I realized I'd spent years being angry at him for not seeing me, when what he really needed was for me to see him. The real him that terrified him, the one who thought leaving his mama behind might finally prove he was grown. So I started mothering the man instead of mourning the little boy. I told him, "Son, being grown ain't about how far you can drive away from the people who love you. It's about how gently you can carry them with you wherever you go." That conversation changed us both. He flew home the next week, and no wife, no excuses, just him and me, on the porch swing like when he was 8 years old. We cried, we laughed, we healed something I thought was broken forever. Sometimes the wound is the door. You don't get to the other side by pretending it isn't bleeding. You walk through it holding the hand of the person who cut you. After that night, something wild happened. I stopped shrinking. I started taking up all the room God gave me. I wore red lipstick to the Piggly Wiggly. I danced at the senior center, even though my knees sound like breakfast cereal. I told my stories loud and proud, instead of apologizing for talking too much. And that's the fifth truth. The moment you decide your story matters is the moment the world has to make room for your voice. People started calling me from all over, grandmas who'd been forgotten, daughters who'd been left, mamas who thought their usefulness expired the day the last kid moved out. They wanted to know how I turned betrayal into breakthrough. So I started speaking at churches, at schools, on little bitty Facebook Lives with my phone propped up on a cereal box. And every time I told that gas station story, somebody in the back would start crying because they'd been left too, in a marriage, in a friendship, in their own mind. And I'd look at them and say, "Baby, being left is not the end of your story. It's the beginning of your legend. Because legends aren't born from perfect love. They're forged in the fire of being counted out and still choosing to stand up. I'm 80, one now, and I've never felt more on fire. That night they forgot me was the night I finally remembered who I am. A woman too big to be left behind, too loud to be silenced, too loved by life itself to ever be lost for good. And here's the last truth, the one that'll carry you when nothing else will. Every desert you're abandoned in has a road out, and the map is written on the inside of your ribcage. You don't need them to come back. You don't need an apology that may never come. You need to start walking toward the version of you that cannot be forgotten because she refuses to forget herself. That night I thought I lost everything, but I actually found the only thing that was ever truly mine, my own unbreakable spirit. And if an old black woman with bad knees and no money can find her way home from 300 miles away with nothing but faith and a collect call, then trust me, darling, you can find your way through whatever wilderness they've left you in right now. You are not what they did to you. You are what you do next. So lace up whatever shoes you got, wipe your face, and start walking. The world is waiting to light up for you the same way it did for Auntie Mae under that broke-down Texaco sign. Your story isn't over. As a matter of fact, it's just getting good. Now I want you to close your eyes for a second and picture that younger version of you. The one who still believes love is supposed to be easy, who thinks family will never fail you, who's terrified of being left behind. Reach out and take that child by the hand. Look them in the eyes and say, I've got you now. Nobody's leaving us again, not even us. Then open your eyes and go live like somebody who's already been rescued because you have. By you. The road is long, but the company is glorious, and every step you take toward yourself is a step somebody else gets permission to take too. Thank you for letting this old woman borrow your ears tonight. Now go make me proud. Go make you proud. And if you ever find yourself stranded somewhere with nobody coming back, remember Auntie Mae, smile real big and start walking. Love you more than cornbread and sweet tea. I'll see you on the other side of your miracle.